Oh, look, commentary. I haven't gotten the proper time to do them until now, since school is pretty much over for me, and I have all the time in the world to commentate on my videos. All of them being very old, since I haven't kept up with my updates. But yeah, quick overview. COD4 Team Deathmatch on Chinatown, using the Blue Tiger AK74u. I'm kind of torn between the 74U and the MP5 because I don't have a favorite SMG yet in Call of Duty 4. And originally, I thought the 74U had less recoil than the MP5, since apparently the 74U is an assault rifle instead of an SMG. But I looked up online that the MP5 and the 74U actually have the same recoil. The only difference is that the 74U has sway, so that kind of makes it the worst SMG of the two. Because on top of that, if you add a silencer or a red dot on the 74U, you get a weaker AK-47 without the long-range capabilities of an assault rifle. I mean, sure, yeah, it could burst fire, but it's just way easier to go fully auto with an assault rifle than to burst fire with an SMG and expect to get a kill like that. But yeah, so I'm sure one thing you noticed right away was that I have Juggernaut instead of stopping power. And the reason for that was because the matches before this, I ran into some ACOG M40 users, and they really annoyed me. So the next match I decided to run with Juggernaut instead of stocking power. And before that could happen, the lobby closed. I jumped back into TDM without thinking about switching out Juggernaut for stopping power. So now I have a different perk setup than intended. But not all is lost, because there were a few times I ran into some claymores. And if I didn't have Juggernaut, I definitely would have died and gotten more deaths than I have now. One thing that seems pretty cool to me is that 25-2 is like a magic number. My most memorable games are with a final score of 25-2, and they all involve AKs. So AK-47 on Ambush, Red Tiger AK-47 on Showdown, and now AK-74u on Chinatown. It's a really nice ratio. I also run with Dead Silence, because even though I can't sound whore as well as people with turtle beaches or P×21s, I can still do it to some extent. The way I sound horror is just by plugging headphones into my laptop and listening to my Dazzle recording. I mute the TV so I don't hear excess noise coming from both the TV and my laptop. And by doing that, I can hear the footsteps a lot better than when I try to hear them on the TV. I mean, yeah, you could raise the volume on a TV to hear footsteps, but then the gun sounds become even louder, and they're much louder than footsteps in general, so my method is much more convenient for me, and it saves me $80. So, yep. Now, one thing I hope that Treyarch really works on is the spawn system. At least make it number 2 on their list of priorities. Number 1 being the balancing of guns and perks and maps. Like, they've been working on multiplayer since day 1, and when you have that much time in addition to a very dedicated team for multiplayer, I would think that you'll be able to address the major concerns of players. One being the spawns, in a matter of time instead of at the last minute. See, the spawns in COD 4 are kind of predictable, and World at War, the spawns are pretty good. The major problem with them being that they switch very quickly, and if you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll get reverse spawn killed, and most of the time when that happens, you'll see like 2 or 3 players coming out from behind you, and that's really annoying. And Modern Warfare 2, whose spawns are just so random that it adds to the frustration in the game. Not to mention that most people come out their spawns armed with new tubes or RPGs. Makes for very frustrating gameplay. We're arriving near the end of the game, and I decided to call in my chopper instead of dying because it's near the end of the game. I claim a few more kills, thank goodness. Not much to say other than the fact that I pretty much am ready to claim my last bunch of kills. And yep, that's game over.